Hello everyone, and welcome to another 5 Fact Friday. It's Amanda, and it's 5 Fact Friday. It's Amanda, can you believe it's Friday? It's Amanda, it's 5 Fact Friday. 5 Fact Friday, can you believe it's Friday? Starring me, Qcknd. Hey everybody, it's 5 Fact Friday. Thank you as always to all of the submissions. Thanks to everybody who's been so cool this week. And as some of you may have noticed, my YouTube page had a little bit of a makeover. I have a new banner and a new channel trailer just for like new subscribers coming in, trying to feel out the deal. Also, it was a way to really incorporate all of the Quiet Cool Kid contest entries in a way that's more interactive for fans and people in the future who kind of know what we as a family are all about. So thanks again, and thank you so much if your work has been a part of it, and thank you so much if you're just down for the ride. Thanks again. When I was contacted by a YouTube partner rep, they said something along the lines of, it looks like my channel hasn't been updated for like 4 years when people come onto it. So constructive criticism aside, I also don't want people to feel like they're walking into like some old basement when they come onto my channel. So that explains it. If this is what I get for filming outside. If you needed to leave me a comment calling me a sellout, you can just leave that in your brain and leave that to yourself, because honestly, I don't know about the whole sellout thing. If it's making user engagement a lot easier to have these like very researched and proven things added to my page, then that's just how it's gonna be. And honestly, I thought all the advice that the YouTube partner rep gave me was really valuable, and I just want to help everybody have a nice and easy to understand time on my page. So that's why it's there. It's for user engagement, and hopefully it's there to help everybody. And it's not me selling out to YouTube, because I'm already a part of YouTube. I don't understand. Anyway, yeah, I like advice, and I did take YouTube's advice. So, I don't know. I'm all about like having a successful channel, and I think you guys are down for the cause. I don't know. So, starting off 5 Fact Friday, I'm really excited, and I think we have some goodies today. And you can always submit through Tumblr and Snapchat. So some of these are from Tumblr and some of these are from Snapchat. So coming right off Tumblr, my first question is, you mentioned that living in Texas wasn't a really great environment for you and you had a hard time there. Do you think if you had to or were to move there now with Jon, would you have a different experience? So I get a lot of questions about this, and I even got another question on Tumblr earlier this week that I answered. I didn't save it for 5 Fact Friday, but I moved to Texas when I was 18 out of necessity. My parents wanted me to move out when I turned 18, and I think this is a really dated mind frame for some parents that who think that their child should move out when they were 18 because 40 years ago you moved out when you were 18. But things were a lot easier then. When my parents asked me to move out when I was 18, I had no resources, I didn't know what to do, and I was just like, cool, I'm homeless. So the price of living in Texas, I say this all the time, is significantly different than Pennsylvania. It is very expensive to live in Pennsylvania, and in Texas, I lived happily with the income that I could provide for myself. And not saying that it's super easy, but like the girl who contacted me earlier on Tumblr who said that she could afford to go to school in Texas, yeah, you can. It's pretty easy to sustain that kind of lifestyle. Gas was cheaper, cost of living was cheaper, I got paid more at my job So all of these things when I was 18 were amazing. But would I move back there with Jon? No, just because I moved there when I needed help getting on my feet and living with my head above water, and now I live pretty comfortably with Jon. Him and I both have like a pretty sensible income, and since we're together, it's really easy for us to provide for each other and financial responsibilities. So back then when I moved there, I absolutely had to. And like since then, my parents obviously came to their senses. My brother is 19 and he still lives at home, which, good thing big sister paved the way for you. You're welcome. But yeah, so I basically moved there because I absolutely had to. But now that I'm with Jon, that isn't an issue. We own a house together. We just like can't live in it yet. So, and if you're interested to see what our house looks like, I have a couple videos up. You can't live there. So, my next question, and this is also from Tumblr, and this says, do you have a sternum tattoo? If so, what is it? You don't have to post a picture of it. I know you're not into that. So, in my Ipsy bag tutorial, I did stand up, and I guess some of you got a glimpse of my tattoo because I got a couple questions about it, and I can show a peek. Let's see what I can actually do. So, here's a little bit of it, and I just have a bumblebee, and it's because Joanna Newsom has these lyrics where she says that her stomach ached with many bumblebees and they stung so terribly. And I'm always D for a Joanna Newsom tattoo, so that's why I have it. I think that insect, like sternum tattoos, are pretty popular. I like the symmetry of it. I like the wings and the legs, and I think like a lot of insects generally look like that. So I think it's really cool. Do other people have that tattoo? Maybe. Sure. Getting my sternum tattoo absolutely hurt. It sucked. And the first time we did it, both of us like forgot the stinger on the bee. And I got that tattoo by Qcknd, and he's a traveling tattoo artist, so I had to wait for him to come back to Pennsylvania just to get the stinger. And I felt so bad because I like made an appointment with him, and I was like, I just need this stinger. And when I was there, he's like, do you want another tattoo while you're here? I was like, no, I hate getting tattooed. So he was actually really cool about it. He was like, okay, good, I'm so tired. So that was cool. Qcknd is one of my favorite tattoo artists, and I was super happy for it. Originally in the design, the bee had 2 honeycombs on each side, and after I got the tattoo, I was like, no honeycombs, no, I'm over it. So I may add to it in the future, but for now, getting your sternum tattoo hurts, and I'll see girls on Instagram all the time who are like, first tattoo, and it's this whole like, and I'm like, bless you, because that is crazy, and it has set the tattoo bar for you so high that the rest of your tattoos will be a vacation. So that's my sternum tattoo. It's just another Joanna Newsom tattoo that I absolutely have. But yeah, we are flying through these questions. So I got this off Snapchat. Well, you can't see it at all. And it says, what was your initial vegan experience like? Do you miss non-vegan things about your life? And I think this is a really good question because it is absolutely true, and I'd love to put that out there, that there are things I miss all the time that are not vegan. And the very first time I went vegan, whatever, many years ago, it was really hard for me. I did a lot of things where like I would reward myself with food, and I still do that. I have not grown out of that. But after I got my philtrum pierced for the first time, I think I was vegan for like a month, and after I got my philtrum pierced, I really couldn't like, excuse you. I really like wanted to reward myself, and in the time I was like, there's no soft food on earth I can eat except for Wawa mac and cheese. I must eat it. So I did, and then I like ate ice cream the next day. So after that, I kind of looked at a lot of blogs and things like that that were like, how do I become vegan? And they were all like, you know, do it step by step, take this out of your life, take this out of your life. And that wasn't a really successful way for me to do it, because when I was starting to take X, Y, and Z out of my life, things were still non-vegan, like, that I loved, while on mac and cheese. So I, like, would reach for them. The second time I became vegan, I've been vegan ever since, never looked back. And my initial vegan experience, kind of like Jon and I talk about in our vegan talk where we're fixing the Bronco. When you're first vegan, you run into like a lot of vegan politics, vegan policing, vegan dickheads, and it's really hard to like keep your integrity and keep your head above water and keep your goals in mind, because you're gonna run into a lot of people who tell you that what you're doing isn't vegan, that's not vegan, your iPhone isn't vegan, blah blah blah. And I say, like, do as much as you can, and you can be like Jon and you don't have to call yourself vegan, or you can just be as vegan as you possibly can be. When I first became vegan, people would contact me all the time and they're like, oh, I can't afford the fancy vegan blah blah blah. And I'll be like, you're not trying hard enough. And now I'm like, who says that? That's awful. Why would I say that? And like, looking back, like, that was no way to encourage other people to be vegan. And what's the expression? You lure more flies with sugar than vinegar. I don't know the expression. It's in here, it's not in here, but it's absolutely true. Like, being kind and being nice and not being like that, like, king vegan. I think that vibe is the most valuable thing for you when you're first becoming vegan, especially to like show what you're all about. And if you become vegan tomorrow and you swing open the kitchen door and you go, Mom, you're a fascist for eating eggs and I hate you, and you close the door, like, your mom's gonna be like, what? Vegans suck. And there's all these vegan jokes online, like, how do you know someone's vegan? They'll tell you. Whatever. You know, why wouldn't you be proud or wanting to talk about something that you recently did and you're recently, like, overcoming? Because the second part of the question, I think about non-vegan food all the time. And it's not that I'm, like, sitting in my room, like, craving it, but I miss, like, some of the just, like, emotional attachments I had to certain things. Like, last night, Livy and I were at the grocery store, and we saw those, like, handheld Campbell's soups that you, like, they're in this, like, sexy cup, and you drink the soup. And I saw that, and I was like, I remember the commercials for that. I remember eating that. I remember when they first came out, they were like, buy 5 for $1. Like, I remembered all of that stuff, and, like, I have fond memories of just, like, food products, as if, like, to relate it to, like, when you're like, I'm a 90s kid and I watched the Angry Beavers. Well, I'm like, I remember eating chicken ramen. It's just stuff like that, and I have fond memories of that, like, fish sticks and ketchup all the way. So there are definitely times that I miss it, and I can replace any of that stuff. They make vegan fish sticks, they make vegan ramen, they make chicken and stars that's vegan, but it's awful, I hate it, I'll never eat it again. I can make it on my own though. Anyway, they make all those things vegan, obviously, but even last night, Livy and I got a cup of soup, and mine was $1.19, and hers was 25 cents. Just to put that in perspective, we should have gotten in line together, I would have paid for it. She literally handed the girl a quarter, and that paid for it. And mine was $1.19. Yeah, $1.19, whatever. But sometimes I miss the conveniences of that. Jon and I were watching something on Hulu the other day. Yeah, I pay for premium Hulu, but my Hulu still has commercials. And every commercial was for Burger King, Wendy's, all of that. And I just remember, like, in middle school, we used to walk to the Wendy's after school, and do the like 5 for 5, and I would dip my nuggets in my Frosty, and I would dip my fries in my Frosty, and my cheeseburger in my Frosty. And I remember just like when we were watching, when I saw the commercial, I remembered the like square patties that Wendy's has, and I could just like, and ooh, and I say stuff like that all the time. Like, if someone's talking about dinner and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna make some wings and I'm gonna have some baked mac and cheese and some cheesy broccoli, pepperoni pizza, ribs, describing some sort of barbecue with a pizza at it. When I hear people talking about that stuff, I'm like, yo, that sounds so good. And they're like, you can't be in this conversation. We're talking about M-E-A-T. Shh. I'm just like, what? I can appreciate a good meal. I can appreciate good smells. And I'm still down. I'm happy that you're eating and that you're fed. Well fed. And that you're attending the coolest barbecue I've ever heard of. When I was younger, every week my mom would buy us like salmon, like on Friday. Like, she, at the end of the week, she was like, my kids will be healthy if they eat salmon, because I read this article, I did this research, blah blah blah. And once a week we ate salmon, and I remember when I was a kid I hated salmon, ew. But there was something about like the love that my mom would like go out and buy us this like fresh meat, because she thought it would like make us live forever, get good grades, wake up on time. Like, I really appreciate that, and I think that that's a great thing. And the love that comes from that, I think that that's great, and that's something that I'll miss, you know? And yeah, I'm vegan, and most of the time, like, I don't run into that stuff, but I'll still get a little choked up and kind of miss memories of food and just like different feelings that come with it, different memories, different conveniences, like how easy it would be for me to just like tear into a box of tasty cakes. But I don't know, I also don't like feel bad for thinking that way, so maybe you shouldn't either. Not telling you what to do. But how many questions do we have? Someone asked me like, what happened to your job at Corsa? If you watched the video I posted yesterday called My Streetwear Story, I kind of talked about how I used to work at a streetwear shop called Corsa. I go into more detail and show like pictures and stuff that really brought back like a lot of cool memories. But although Corsa like gave me so many opportunities and gave me a job when I first moved to Philadelphia without an interview, I was fired from Corsa, and I almost wasn't going to answer this because the story is so petty, but sometimes it does still make me angry, so here I go. So I was working at Corsa for a while, and what was great about my Corsa was the owner was like only a year older than me. We were all really young who worked there, and it was great that he was able to come into like owning a business and owning a streetwear shop downtown Philadelphia on South Street, which is known to be like really punk and artistic. So working at Corsa gave me a lot of opportunities. Like, as a young artist, I was able to meet artists who worked there or people who collaborated to have their like streetwear sold there, and I feel like it gave me a lot of opportunity and like shined a lot of light and made Corsa seem like really extravagant. But I have a tendency to like turn water into wine. Like, I make everything seem like so much more awesome than it really is. But that's just me, and I can't fix that. I don't think that's a bad thing. But if you are viewing me from an outside perspective, sometimes you're probably like, damn, that's cool, that's lit. So there was this one time that I went to New York, and it was completely unrelated to Corsa entirely. And I was actually going to New York to get my cardinal tattoo, so it was a couple years ago. and one of the street artists who worked for Qckcknd, which is a streetwear company, one of the street artists reached out to for us to like hang out while I was in New York, just like grab a beer, but I was straight edge, so I grabbed like a ginger ale, and just to like chat and, you know, kind of draw together, stuff like that. I posted it on my Instagram, and this one person was like, oh my god, Corsa sent you to meet him at Qckcknd? Oh. And I replied back and I was like, no, I was in New York for the day, like, this is unrelated to Corsa. But she was like, yeah, but you still got to meet him. And I was like, yeah, I did that on my own, unrelated to Corsa. So she was like, I really want to work at Corsa, I really want to work there. And I was like, I don't even know how I got the job, kind of. So she came in and she applied, and my boss was like, you know, we're not really hiring, this is a really small boutique, we don't really do that well in sales, and I can't afford to hire you. So she was like, I'll work for free. And he was like, oh, I can't turn that down. Which was like, true, I understand that from like a business perspective, like, if one of your employees offers to work for free, like, ka-ching. So she worked as an intern for Corsa for a while, and I don't know, like, after a while, like, she was like, I want more hours, I want this, I got the best weed, all this stuff that, like, I was like, oh, can I have Saturday off? Like, oh, like, I'm straight edge, sorry I can't go to the bar with you guys after work. And I was like really starting to look like the stepsister, just like, ew, are you drinking beer? I don't think I was really like that, but, and then she was kind of just like, let's smoke blunts, I'll be here in the morning till the night, Corsa all day, all night, here, put that sticker of a streetwear company on my boobies, like, all this stuff that, like, young me just, like, really wasn't into. So after a while, like, I started getting scheduled less and less, and Corsa was my main source of income, like, that was my job. So, you know, after a couple months went by and I was getting scheduled less and less, I kind of asked what happened, and kind of like, I wasn't cool enough to work there anymore, and it really sucked. I cried and cried because I really loved Corsa, and it really connected me to like the Philadelphia art scene that I desperately wanted to be a part of. Like, you could see in my other video, like, most of my pictures I'm like with spray paint. I did a lot of the art curation, like I brought a lot of artists in there, and it was just like not good enough. And so I was like, they were like, you're not fired, but we'll call you if we ever need you to work again. And I was like, oh, because that means... So yeah, I was fired from Corsa. I was kind of like definitely pushed out of my position. When I worked there, I was the only girl who worked there, and I wasn't like hella feminine and all of this stuff, and like wore this every day, so, you know, my tits weren't out. But I know it sounds really petty, so I kind of feel bad telling that story. And a couple months after I quit, our boss got into a really bad motorcycle accident, and I believe he was paralyzed, so they closed Corsa. Which, like, was a really weird, like, turn of events and, like, really crazy fate that happened. As some of you may know, like, I used to be a lifeguard at Penn's Landing for the kayak rentals. So I was kind of fired at a good time because I was also a lifeguard. So I was able to, like, stay afloat for a little while, and then I found my job at the coffee shop. So I was not completely put out. It was not like, I wasn't homeless when I got fired from Corsa. I was mostly just like really sad. I put like my heart and my integrity into working there, but I'll say this, I was never fake about it. Like, I did need off on Saturdays sometimes, to work a job, and sometimes I couldn't stay late because I had to go home or I was sick, so I would call out sometimes. And I was never just like, I'll buy you beer, I'll buy you weed, look at this, I'm gonna bring my TV into work and you guys can keep it. I was always me, and they just didn't want me to work there. And it was because I wasn't cool enough. But honestly, like, that aside, I'm glad that I like stayed true to my heart and I wasn't just like, I'll work for free too, because that's weird. My parents don't pay my bills. I can't work for free. So yeah, this is 5 Fact Friday. Thank you to everybody who was so positive about Jon being in last week's episode. Honestly, I was so surprised. I couldn't believe it. I was just doing a lighting test and I was like, can you sit there? And he was like, I will stay sitting here. So that was cool. Thank you guys again. Always feel free to submit. It is a little easier to submit on my Tumblr because you could write and write and write and write. I know Snapchat only gives you one line, but submit however you want. Show some love for the channel trailer, and I love you guys so much.
Amanda, you supposed to be cleaning up right now? Oh.